How much does the biggest kicker earn? How much does Stallone sell his watch collection for? Stay tuned for more on the lives of rich people. Hello dear friends, Sylvester Stallone is an American actor, screenwriter, producer and director with a fortune of $400 million. Sylvester Stallone is one of the most famous and beloved action stars of all times. Gaining superstar status with Rocky, Stallone became one of the highest paid actor stars of the 1980s and 1990s. He wrote and produced several highly successful franchises including Rocky, Rambo and Unstoppable. At the time of this video, Stallone's films have brought in more than $4 billion in worldwide revenue. Unlike most Hollywood stars, Sylvester has written, produced, and directed many of his major franchise films. Wages. After writing the script for Rocky in just 3 days, Stallone had several studios interested in his project. United Artists was the frontrunner, but they wanted him to be the main vehicle for Robert Redford's James Caan. He ruthlessly pressured the film's producers Irving Winkler and Robert Chartoff to let him play the lead role in the film. He agreed to a reduced salary of $23,000 per film. Today, that's about $110,000. The film earned $225 million on a budget of $1 million. In 1982, he earned $3.5 million for First Blood. The following year, he earned $10 million, the inflationary equivalent of $25 million, and received his first producer credit for Staying Alive. He earned $4 million and became the second producer on 1984's Mountain Crunch. The following year, he earned $12 million and another producer credit for Rocky IV. He earned another $12 million for Over the Top. For Rambo 3, he earned $16 million. Career. Stallone's first major role was in Party at Kitty's, a softcore adult film which he explains he made in despair after being evicted from his flat. He was paid $200 for 2 days of work. His first few filmed roles were minor, including an unreleased role in Woody Allen's Bananas in 1971. He was also interested in writing screenplays, and in 1975, inspired by Muhammad Ali vs. Chuck Wepner, he wrote a screenplay about a struggling misfit thug with ambitions of becoming a professional boxer. Stallone reportedly refused to sell the script unless he was the star of the film. He held out until he found Irving Winkler and Robert Chartoff, two producers who agreed to let him play the lead role of Rocky Balboa. In 1976, Rocky was released. Stallone immediately gained A-list status and worldwide fame for his lead role. The film was a critical and box office hit, earning $117 million at the box office and 10 Academy Award nominations. It was nominated for Best Film over other now classic films such as All the President's Men, Network, and Taxi Driver, but ultimately Rocky triumphed. It also won awards for Best Director and Best Film Editing. Rocky II was released in 1979, followed by 2 more in the 80s, and Stallone continued to enjoy box office success. In 1982, Stallone produced another critical and box office success, playing the role of John Rambo in the action film Rambo First Blood. The first film was followed by 3 sequels. In preparation for both his roles as Rocky and Rambo, he followed an incredibly vigorous workout program: 2 workouts a day, 6 days a week, and more exercise in the evenings. He reduced his body fat percentage to a record low of 2.8% for the 3rd installment of Rocky. In 1987, Stallone's popularity began to decline when he starred in Over the Top, which flopped at the box office and didn't get the critical attention it deserved. In the 90s, he released Rocky V, which was another box office disappointment. He tried to make the films in the comedy genre, but he was met with critical and commercial failures in the form of early 90s Oscar and Stop All My Mama Shoots. Stallone enjoys a brief career warm-up with 1993's Cliffhanger, which grossed $170 million, and 1996's Daylight, but by the early 2000s, he was playing through a string of box office disappointments and critical disappointments. Stallone took a 3-year break and returned in 2006 with the 6th Rocky film. He wrote, directed, and starred in the critically acclaimed Rocky Balboa, which had a budget of $24 million and worldwide grosses of $155,700,000. He also reprised his role as Rambo in the 4th installment of that series, Rambo. In 2010, he wrote, directed, and starred in the successful film Unstoppable, which went straight to #1 at the box office in its opening weekend. The sequel was released in 2012 and received similarly positive reviews and topped the box office. In 2015, Stallone added another chapter of the Rocky series with a spin-off, Creed. Directed by Ryan Coogler, the film focused on Adonis Creed, played by Michael Jordan, son of Rocky's rival Apollo Creed. Stallone received wide acclaim and his third Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Creed 2, released in 2018, also received positive reviews and $35,300,000 in its first weekend. The fifth Rambo film was released on 20 September 2019 and grossed $91 million at the global box office. Property. In 1999, Sylvester sold his home in Coconut Grove, Florida for $16 million. For the past few decades, Sylvester's primary residence has been a luxury mansion in a gated development at the top of Beverly Hills called Beverly Park. His property covers 3.5 acres and includes a 20,000 square foot home. Close neighbors include Eddie Murphy, Mark Wahlberg, and Denzel Washington. Similar homes have recently sold for between $40 to $70 million. In January 2021, it was reported that Sylvester was putting the house up for sale for a staggering $130 million. In August 2021, he lowered the price to $85 million. In December 2021, Sylvester accepted an offer of $58 million. The buyer was Adele, and it was the highest price ever paid for a house in Beverly Park. In January 2010, Sylvester and his wife Jennifer Flavin paid $4.5 million for a vacation home in La Quinta, California. The house has been tried to sell several times since 2014. By 2016, the price was even reduced to $3,625,000, but no buyer was found. They finally sold the house in May 2020 for $3,100,000. In December 2020, Sylvester paid $34,400,000 for the 1.5-acre property with a 13,000 square foot mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. The sellers of the property made almost $10 million in profit from sales, having bought the property in 2018 for $26 million. In February 2022, Sylvester paid $18,200,000 for an estate in Hidden Hills, California. If you think one of the most brutal actors of our time has a peculiar taste in cars, you're absolutely right. Just look at this Cadillac Escalade, just listed for sale with a price tag of $350,000. Stallone has ordered Escalade to add half-meter length and collected the most magnificent interior, having transformed it into an off-road limousine, which would be suitable even for some dictator of the Middle East. On this occasion, we decided to remember another coolest cars of the legendary actor, Aston Martin DBS. This car cannot afford everyone, as well as the other models in the list, but when you are an actor, and even more so popular and highly paid, then you can afford any whims you ever dreamed of. Of all his cars, Sylvester gives preference to Aston Martin. You can often see the actor behind the wheel of this treasure. It seems that black is one of his favorite colors, as almost his entire collection is in dark shades. Bugatti Veyron. Stallone and Schwarzenegger rival not only in the world of cinema. Both have a weakness for expensive watches and high-end cars. Both have a Veyron and often drive it when they plan to have dinner together. It's one of the most expensive cars, with a price tag of $1.5 million. Camaro Custom SS. It's a personalized model inspired by the iconic Camaro of the 1980s. That's when Stallone reached his cinematic heyday. Sylvester prefers to drive this handsome man to fancy dinners in the Hollywood Hills. 1968 Corvette. One of the most popular classic sports cars. Its lightweight construction and powerful V8 engine are the reasons why you get a special thrill out of driving this car, especially around corners. It is also one of the most expensive models in Stallone's collection, all thanks to the sophisticated engineering that Corvette cars are known for. Ferrari 599 GTB Fiorano Mansouri, a marvel of modern engineering and sports car construction, has become a valuable part of Stallone's collection. Just look at the shape of this car's bodywork. It feels like you're floating, not driving behind the wheel of such a car. If you'd like us to do a full review of Sylvester Stallone's car collection, write in the comments. Sylvester Stallone to sell his wristwatch collection. A total of 5 models will be auctioned at Phillips, which will be held in New York this December. The total value of the loads will be almost $2 million. Stallone is known for his love of rare watches. His collection, which has been collecting for decades, includes a large number of exclusive watches from brands such as Panerai and Richard Mille. Now the actor has decided to put some of them up for sale. Among them will be the Panerai Lumino watch that actor wore in the 1996 film Daylight. The estimate for this watch is from $40,000 to $80,000. Richard Mille RM032 Ti, which is expected to fetch from $60,000 to $120,000. This is the watch that Stallone wore in the action movie Unstoppable 3. The Richard Mille RM02501 Tourbillon chronograph adventure watches didn't make an appearance in the frame, but in conversation with Richard Mille himself, he called them the perfect watch for Rambo. Their estimate is $250,000 to $500,000. The actor's most expensive lot is expected to be the Richard Mille RM05201 Tourbillon Skull TZP Nano ceramic watch with an estimated value of $350,000 to $700,000. It has been produced in a limited edition of 30 pieces. The Richard Mille RM05901 Johann Blake Beast Tourbillon is expected to fetch a little less, from $300,000 to $600,000. The timepiece was limited to 50 pieces. What is your favorite actor?